Hello, friends. Welcome back to the JHO Show with your host, JHO. Justin Horwitz here, joining you from the Meadowlands control room here. And the JHO Show is back, week 3 of the wonderful show on Facebook Live. And I'll tell you what, today is pretty special because we're getting set for a nice weekend of racing here at the Meadowlands. Saturday night, 13 races on the program with a 7:15 or so post time. We've got eliminations for the Fall Final Four. We've got a leg of the TVG series, and we're giving away turkeys. So really, there's plenty of reasons for you to come out here as we get in the holiday spirit. And how about that Pick 10 Survivor? That's been the big talk around the racetrack. Somebody took it down, one single survivor last week, paid over $13,000. The important thing, though, is the pool size grew from week 1 to week 2. It was up almost 40%. So that's cool. If we could go up 40% every week, things will be rolling. We'll have a nice big pool here, and that's really what that wager is all about. Also cool to see that the wager lasted 7 races in week 2. A little more formful in the sequence, but nice to see one person take it down. Nice, those big 5-figure payoffs. Those will get people playing. So that's the Pick 10 Survivor. It starts on race 1 every night. It's a 20-cent minimum wager. And basically, it's a Pick 10 wager. So yeah, I know it's hard enough to pick one winner. You got to pick 10 in a row here. But the way this one works is people are eliminated after each leg, and the wager doesn't necessarily have to go 10 legs. It's over when there's one single surviving ticket that has picked all of the winners up to that point consecutively. And if it goes a full 10 races or it ends where all the remaining surviving tickets are eliminated after the same race, then that total pool minus the 15% takeout will be split amongst all those tickets. So that's a Pick 10 Survivor. That's every race night here at the Meadowlands. Now, I mentioned eliminations for the Fall Final Four coming up this weekend, but that's why you got to be here November 25th. That's when we will have the finals, the Fall Final Four finals. That's 4 big-time 2-year-old stakes races, and also the TVG free-for-all finals. I know we'll see most likely Hannelore Hanover. There's a chance we could see a top 3-year-old trotter taking on the aged horses, so that'll be pretty cool. We'll see the free-for-allers on the pace, the free-for-allers on the mare side, the mare free-for-all pacers, and then the trotters and the mare trotters. So a big night of racing all coming up on November 25th here at the Meadowlands. We will have the eliminations this weekend. And speaking of those eliminations, I went through the program, but I thought it might be fun to have a special guest who's also gone through the program and can give us some handicapping advice. So it's time to bring in my special guest, joining us from deep in the heart of the Big Apple in Manhattan at DRF Global Headquarters. It's DRF Harness Eye guy himself. It's Derick Giwner. Derick, great to have you on the JHO Show.
It's great to be here, Justin. Always happy to talk to you.
Excellent. Now, as I told you off camera, I apologize that I'm not as handsome as your usual co-host on the DRF weekend preview shows that you do. A little more hair, but we'll try to pick as many winners as you guys normally do. So let's start in race 3 on Saturday night's card. It's the single elimination for the 3 diamonds for the 2-year-old pacing fillies. There's going to be 3 fillies that took buys into the final. So we have a 10-horse elim. We'll eliminate the 3 last place finishers. The top 7 will advance. And morning line favorite is number 2, Kissin' in the Sand. She was awfully good in the kindergarten final. Where did you end up with your selection here, Derick?
I ended up with Kissin' in the Sand. I think this is by far the easiest race of the group. I just don't see any way Kissin' in the Sand loses. In the Breeders' Crown, she basically was given no shot to make the final, and she cruised as expected in the kindergarten, and I expect her to do the same here, and then we'll see how good she is next week.
Now, she was 1/5 of a second off the track record in winning the kindergarten final, a mark held by a certain filly named JK She's a Lady, who was Horse of the Year, also trained by Nancy Johansson. What do you make of Tetrick getting aboard first time? It's kind of interesting.
Well, there was no doubt that Yannick wasn't driving with You Are My Candy Girl slated to race next week, so she was thinking ahead smartly. He was listed on like 5 horses, and he went with the best one by far.
Now let me just ask you in general, these eliminations, not the most ideal situation when you've got like some of the other ones where basically like 1 horse is being eliminated, 2 horses being eliminating. What are your thoughts on that? When you speak to bettors or when you talk to bettors on social media, what's kind of the approach to these races from a betting standpoint, knowing that these go for $20,000 and they will go for $300,000-400,000 next week in the final?
When you get a race like this where there's a standout horse like Kissin' in the Sand, I'm okay with going with it. In the other races where there's, a little bit more wide open, I'm going to take some shots and see if maybe I could beat the favorite, because they might not be trying as hard as they should be in a race.
All right, well, hopefully they're trying to win, because that would not be good if they weren't trying. But I understand, certainly you need to keep that in mind. So I just like to tell bettors the situation and perhaps point out some things just to try to be as transparent as possible. But again, there's post-position protection for the final. The winners of these eliminations will get to draw between posts 1 and 6 for the final. So at least there's some incentive as far as post position in the final goes for the winners of these eliminations. Let's move on to race 5. This is the Goldsmith Maid elimination, the 2-year-old filly trotters. No Manchego here. You think she's got a chance to be Horse of the Year?
I think she's got a chance, but I don't think she's going to win.
All right, she's undefeated.
There's too much of a bias against 2-year-olds.
Unless they're JK, she's a lady.
Well, in that situation, it was a little bit different. I don't think there was any other horse that stood out. Whereas this year, I think there are a couple others that do.
All right, so that's Manchego. She's not here, but fortunately Jimmy Takter has 5 others from his stable that will be here. So there's 5 Takters, there's 2 Nifties, and a Partridge in a Pear Tree, and a Julie Miller named Seviorum. Where did you go? I thought this race was definitely more wide open than the Pacing Fillies race.
There's no doubt about it. I think the most likely winner is probably Basquiat. Is that how you say it? I'm not quite sure.
Basquiat. I think it's a poet or an artist.
Okay, well, Basquiat is probably the most likely winner, because I feel pretty confident that Yannick will leave and look for position and probably be on the lead here. And when you take Seviorum, Basquiat, Punch Blue Chip, one of those 3 is probably going to leave and win. I didn't go with any of them because I just don't know which one is going to do that. I'd rather take a shot at a price and roll the dice, and I went with number 2, Smoke and Mirrors. I feel like the qualifier was really good. There was some sneaky trot there that some people might not see with a 5th place finish. You look back at the lines, there were some lines in Canada that show that there's a little bit of ability here, and I'll take the 20-1 and take my chances.
That's a great pick. That horse actually very much intrigued me as well, so I went back and watched the Ontario Sire Stakes Super Final. There was a lot of action in that race. I don't know if you've went back and looked at it recently, but first of all, it was pouring rain that night, so a couple horses were breaking there. This horse had post 10, left out of there, found a 3-hole, then got revved up down the backstretch, made the front, and actually was in front turning for home, and the horse that sat a pocket to her blew up, made a break right at the top of the stretch. So she opened up by a bunch of lengths and got nailed at the end by a horse that was 4th over from 8th. So I thought that was a little bit of a red flag. What do you make of Tetrick picking off after being aboard for the qualifier? Is that any bit of concern to you?
You know what? I've learned long ago that what drivers do don't necessarily make sense as far as handicapping goes.
Okay, interesting. Well, just for discussion's sake, I went with number 10, Plunge Blue Chip. So I think Aki Svanstedt will definitely be leaving from post 10. This filly's really done nothing wrong. I'm going to assume she was sick in the New York Sire Stake final. That was her one loss of her career and the one bad race on her page. She's won everywhere else. And it's hard to go through the New York Sire Stakes undefeated, basically, which is what she did. Those half-mile tracks can be tough, especially for a young filly trotter. She hasn't really had the chance to test herself against the very best, although I was super impressed with her matron victory on the front end from the outside post off a month layoff where she wasn't racing well the month prior. So I thought that was interesting. I think Aki leaves, and I'm intrigued by her quite a bit.
I think she could definitely win this race. There's no doubt about it. And I don't know what happened to her in the New York Sire Stakes finals day, but every other race she's put in has been great. She did beat a kind of a weak group in the matron last time. And I'm worried that Basquiat is inside of her, who's probably going to be leaving as well, which we've seen Svanstedt doesn't always make the best decisions in some of these races. But if he gets clearly to the front, he could definitely win with her.
All right, she was a nice price, I thought, from post 10. I thought the price would be right to take a shot in an elimination. Let's go to race 7. This is the one TVG leg that did fill. The other divisions did not get enough horses, so we'll see a couple of those types qualifying actually on Saturday night at 5:30 before the card starts. So if you're interested, you can tune in to the Meadowlands feed for those races. But this one did fill. These are the mare pacers, and you can make a case for all 7 of these. 5 of them haven't raced since the Breeders' Crown. 2 of them have. And there's a horse that's double digits on the morning line. I'm going to ruin the surprise if we haven't put the graphic up. But, Derick, you and I are both on the same horse. That's 12-1 morning line.
Yeah, I really like to say I'm at a loss in this race. I mean, you got 7 horses; they could all win. They're all coming back next week for the final, racing for 10 times as much money. I just don't know which one of them is going to be out there being aggressive, and a lot of them have missed 3 weeks. I really don't know which way to go, and I figured Blue Moon strides as fast as any of the others. She's going to be a great price. Why not take a shot?
I totally agree. I actually thought the exact same thing. I know she wants to get put into play. I like that she raced at Yonkers in between the Breeders' Crown and now. She had an outside post and did not get put into play, but I think that race at least is better than sitting on the sidelines. She hasn't really had a whole lot of luck with the post draws the last couple starts, and her best game is when she gets put into play like she was able to do when she raced up at Mohawk in the Milton. So I agree with you. She's put up some big miles here at the Meadowlands, and the post is right. We get David Miller back aboard. I think he puts her into play, and if some of these other ones are maybe a touch short off the Breeders' Crown, looking ahead to next week, I definitely think she may be able to win a race that perhaps she can get to the front and just kind of steal this thing.
That's certainly what I'm hoping for here, that Miller will get aggressive, put her right on the lead, and try to get a strong race out of her. Because if you look, she's coming out of a race at Yonkers, going in 55 and change. You really need to get her time down a little bit so she's ready to go against this group in 150 or 149 and change.
I know there's like question marks with all these horses, but very, very interesting. Lady Shadow has since been sold since the Breeders' Crown, $310,000, sold online on Gate.com, where you can buy horses. Richie Banca purchased her. A couple other owners brought in, but Mark Ford listed as trainer. What in the heck do you do with Lady Shadow, and what do you expect from her both Saturday and a week from Saturday?
Unlike another horse in this card, which is also with a different trainer right now than what you would expect, I expect Lady Shadow to do what she always does, go to the lead and try as hard as she can. And whether or not she gets the distance, I don't know. But she really hasn't been the same this year, not all year long.
Yeah, I agree. She has not been as dominant as she was last year. I think she's a little bit vulnerable, and there's so many other good options in there. I would be looking for the bigger price. Let's go to race 8. This is the elimination for the Valley Victory. These are the 2-year-old colt trotters. This starts the late pick 4. Remember, we've moved the wagering format, so this is race 8 on the card. This one will start the late pick 4. Previously, it would have been race 7, but race 8, and I thought this race was super competitive. I'm very much looking forward to the final when we add Samo Different Day, who took the bye. So this is one of those 10-horse elims. We eliminate just one. But what are your thoughts going into this elimination, where I think there's quite a few you can make a good case for?
I really like Fashion Woodchopper in this spot. I mean, I got to hope a little that Dave Miller's going to get aggressive from post position number 9. But I think he will. I mean, coming off the qualifier, I think he'll need a sharp effort here. You got to get her up to speed. And the qualifier was really, really good. And if you look at the PP lines, there's so many horses coming out of the Breeders' Crown who just weren't any good. They just didn't go over the track. Some people would tell me the track was too hard. Some people would tell me the horses were slipping. I don't know what it is, but I know I'm willing to throw out some of those lines because there's so many horses that figured, including Fourth Dimension, who's got the rail in here, who just didn't show up that day for no reason.
Yeah, Fourth Dimension, a little preview, I believe is Dave Brower's best bet of the night on Saturday, so that's pretty interesting. I'm not going to use the horse at all in the pick 4. I'm going to take a stand against Fourth Dimension. I went to number 7, Wolfgang. Here's a horse that didn't make the Breeders' Crown final after the elim. Certainly liked his race in the Matron. Sat pocket trip behind Samo Different Day and was able to wear him down in the stretch. Raced really good in Kentucky, and I love a couple of these horses that had the luxury of being able to progress nicely at the Red Mile, race through those Kentucky Sire Stakes, race through the Grand Circuit, not kind of get beat up all year in the Sire Stakes legs out here, whether in Pennsylvania, New York, or wherever. So that horse is really intriguing to me. I also like Tito in this spot. Another late developer who's kind of sick throughout the summer for Irv Miller, was real good in the kindergarten final. I think we named like 4 or 5 horses. I think Hat Trick Habit can also win this race, the Kentucky Sire Stake champion.
I picked Wolf a shot in here, but I just don't know that they're fast enough at this point in the game. What struck me watching Wolfgang in the Matron is that he's so much bigger than Samo Different Day. I mean, you look like a monster compared to that one.
Yeah, when he
coming on the big track would be nice too.
Yeah, when he passed him on the outside, he was kind of like an eclipse there. You couldn't even see Same Old Different Day on the inside. So that's race 8. How about we go to race 10, which will be the Governor's Cup elimination. We have the Breeders' Crown champion Stay Hungry, who's going to take a bye. And that leaves us with 10. We'll eliminate 1. Another interesting group here, the aforementioned horse that is in a barn different than you might expect would be number 6, Springsteen. We don't have to hide from that topic. Springsteen's in a different barn than you would expect. Mark Harder is the trainer for New Connections, who certainly did well with him last time out in the Matron. You gonna buy him coming here to the Meadowlands, or are we going elsewhere?
It's a frustrating situation for me with Springsteen, because if Allard was training, I would definitely pick this horse. But with Allard not training, every single handicapper is going to look at this race and just wonder what's going on. And to me, I'd rather not have the horse in the race than to have the horse in the race under a different trainer and have this whole, I don't even know what you want to call it. It's like a cloud over the situation.
I feel like perhaps DRF Weekend Preview, the newsletter, will Jay Bergman be writing a story about this topic?
Jay Bergman is not writing a story about this, but I did have a long conversation with Renee Allard about racing at the Meadowlands and stuff like that, and maybe we'll get a column at some point about that.
Okay. You want to give us any nuggets from that conversation, or we got to read about it later? I'm intrigued.
You have to read about it if I decide to write about it.
Okay. All right. I mean, listen, we're giving people stuff you're not going to get anywhere else. That's what we do on the JHO Show. Horses, so let me ask you this. I know you live in New York, but you know I love the Betfair Exchange here in New Jersey. So you're concerned about Springsteen. You ready to bet against this horse on the exchange if you're a New Jersey resident like myself? You feel that strongly about the barn change?
I don't feel strongly enough to bet on him or bet against him. I really don't know which way to go. I mean, if we got the Springsteen we got last week, I mean, I was all over him last week at 6-1.
Well done.
But now you're going to get a shorter price, and you just don't know what to expect.
Well, where did you go in this race? Who do you like in this race?
I actually like Lost in Time a lot. And there's an interesting reason why. I feel like you have a whole bunch of horses here who are looking to get into the final. They're looking to pass one horse and join Stay Hungry. Whereas I feel Lost in Time really needs a big effort here. And I think he's got plenty of early speed. You got the barn change. I don't see Jimmy Taktis sending out a short horse. I see this horse gunning to the front from post 10. And you're going to get a good price here because you got horses like American History, who put up a 9+ length win. No one has any idea how good this horse is. I still need to see more from him before I'm willing to trust him at a shorter price.
I'm going to tell you that you're wrong because there is somebody who knows how good this horse is. You know who that is?
Yannick Gingras?
Myron Bell. Myron Bell said he's the best horse, right, since Captain Treacherous that they've had.
Well, Myron thinks all of his horses are the best horse. And I love Myron dearly. But the proof is in the pudding. All
right. Well, from everything I've been told, now my sources from the Red Mile said that qualifier was pretty incredible. The one where he was just nailed by Grand Teton, his first and only qualifier. I was pretty impressed by the effort last week. I realized it was not against a whole lot, but I was impressed by what he did in just his third career start. So I did pick him because I think this horse needs the starts because he's just giving up seasoning to a lot of horses. He will be making his first start against anything but the non-winners of 1 or 2 competitions. So I don't think he can afford to get too cute just because I think that's part of his natural development. And I think he's a super talented horse. He probably will be completely overbet. And from a value standpoint, represents probably a very bad value in this spot. And your horse probably represents better value because we already know what we're getting. What is the explanation in your mind for what happened in the Breeders' Crown where he was just not himself?
My explanation is the same as every other horse. I don't know why, but there's so many that raced poorly. There must be a reason behind it.
Okay. I buy it. Post 10. Move to Tactor. That's been a well-documented story there, that Tactor likely to train the horse now as a 3-year-old. So that's interesting, but the Metro winner is certainly not a bad selection ever. He's a very talented horse. Give me some other thoughts you have on what you've seen at the Meadowlands or what you're looking forward to seeing at the Meadowlands as we get into the winter racing season.
Well, obviously, I'm looking forward to next weekend where we get all the stakes finals. I mean, it's basically like the end of my year to some extent. You know, I get to relax a little bit after a long year of following the stakes racing and the sales season. And the Meadowlands winter racing is some of the best wagering racing that you can get. I mean, and that's what makes it so great. You get big fields usually and a lot of great prices. It's one of the hardest meets to actually do well in. I mean, obviously I've been kicking horses every single year for 15 years or so, and you look at my winter meet stats versus the summer meet stats, and it's amazing how much harder the winter meet is.
Yeah, you get the bigger horse population, which certainly helps create those more competitive races. I know our man Pete Koch certainly appreciates that a little bit, but I know it's maybe not as I don't know, flashy as our stakes schedule, but I totally agree. It's fun racing. Just for the record, my favorite class here at the Meadowlands is the non-winners of 11,500 because it's like that in between. The good ones are coming up. The other ones are dropping. I don't know if you have an opinion on that, but I always like to tell Pete, like, just fill that race every week and I'm good.
It's not the non-winners of 11,750 or 5 races lifetime, also eligible.
Higher earners draw outside, 3-year-olds draw inside. Yeah, but Pete doesn't have to do that in the winter, most likely, knock on wood. I hope I didn't just jinx it.
Listen, Pete does a great job. There's no doubt about it. It's a really tough job trying to get all these horses together from when you're short horses week after week. And it's great when he gets the opportunity during the winter to put together competitive fields that really fit together properly.
All right, chances that there will not be a horse of the year that is female this year?
I'd say it's 100% that there will be a female horse of the year.
Which one will it be?
In my opinion, I'm saying Ariana G.
Really? Not Hannelore Hanover?
Well, listen, it's hard to say because Hannelore Hanover still has a race left, and she can go out there and go 149, and then she's going to blow everyone away, and she's probably going to win it. But if you're asking me today, if the boat held today, I still think Ariana G wins it, and I think she deserves to win it.
I know it's not going to happen, I've been told, but wouldn't it be cool if we could see Ariana G against Hannelore next week in the TVG final?
I didn't hear what you said. Could you cut out? Could you repeat it?
Wouldn't it be nice, I don't think it's going to happen, but wouldn't it be nice if Ariana G would take on Hannelore Hanover next week in the TVG final?
Yeah, it would be really nice, but it's never going to happen. There's 0% chance there.
All right. Pick 10 Survivor. You playing it on Saturday?
I played it last week. I didn't play it the opening week, and I don't think I'm going to play it this week. I think it's the kind of bet where you have to pick your spots. You have to look for a sequence where there's 3 or 4 horses you feel really, really comfortable with, so you can spread in some of the other legs and give yourself a chance to actually hit it. I don't think that an everyday bettor can put in a lot of money in it. If you want to throw in $20 a week and take your shot, like the guy who hit the jackpot high five at Woodbine for $1.20, that's fine, But to invest like $70 or $80 into a bet that's going to be really difficult to hit, I don't think you could do that every week. But I think you could do it once a month.
All right. As far as, so that's your strategy. I know there's been so much talk about how you structure tickets and what the best way to attack it is. So your strategy is look at the card and see if you can, really isolate a few horses and build the ticket around it, basically.
Yeah, and I prefer to be able to isolate the horses earlier in the sequence because then I have more coverage later on. I know people are saying that you got to load up early on, but I really don't think that's the right way to go because these sequences are going to go to 7, 8, 9, 10 every single night. You got an anomaly in opening night where Breeders' Cup Day was going on the same time, so this pool was definitely going to be small. And you also got a whole bunch of long shots with the meet just opening, and no one knew what any horses were going to do.
Absolutely. Those are all very good points. I think you're right about that. I think it's interesting to see how this pool size will grow, how long it will last, what those payoffs will look like. Good points there that you bring up. Anything else that I missed? Anything else we should talk about? Because we have as much time as you'd like to go here. Anything else?
This Facebook Live thing is great. You could just talk all day and all night. Maybe I could walk around the corner and get Jeff on it for you.
That would be fantastic. I think he'll be here tomorrow. Maybe he'll be a future guest of mine on Facebook Live. We could go all night if you want. I don't know if anyone's watching anymore. They should post if they are. But I got nothing else for you. So unless you got any burning topics you want to bring up.
I got nothing burning in my head right now. I'm looking forward to next weekend and some great stakes racing, and then maybe a relaxing December and some horse of the years.
That sounds good. So we'll see you here next Saturday.
I will definitely be on track.
All right, the last appearance for Derick Giwner of the year next Saturday night here at the Meadowlands. The first appearance of all time on the JHO Show. Derick, thanks a lot for joining me on Facebook Live, the JHO Show.
It was absolutely my pleasure. Anytime.
All right, thanks a lot. That's Derick Giwner, DRF Harness Eye Guy. Follow him on Twitter. Get all the latest and greatest info on the sport. Sign up for the DRF Harness newsletter. Read Derick's columns. Read Jay Bergman's musings. I don't know, Darren Zoccali's in there. Ryan Macedonio. All good stuff. I like it. It comes to the email directly, so that's cool. DRF Harness, a good friend of ours here at the Meadowlands. I have nothing else to talk about right now on the JHO Show, so we'll just have to end it. We'll see you Saturday night here at the Meadowlands. A limbs for the Fall Final Four. You can join me and my man Dave Brower with the broadcast. Follow us on Twitter. That's it. That's all. It's the JHO Show with JHO. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next Thursday. No, we won't. I lied. We're not going to see you next Thursday. It's Thanksgiving. I'm going to be out of town. Forget it. I'm not doing this show next Thursday. 2 Thursdays from now, I'll be back for the JHO Show. Have a great weekend, a great Thanksgiving, or if you're not celebrating Thanksgiving, have a great next week, and we'll see you later on here on the JHO Show. Take care.